Hello, everybody, and welcome to Lori. Welcome to Lori Tries Life in Missy Ministries. And I am trying to read through Mark chapter 5. However, my kitty is acting squirrely, sitting on the Bible and sniffing the microphone. We're going to see how this works out. Okay, so we are reading the Gospel of Mark, and I always usually read in the New King James Version, but today I'm going to try to do the ESV, English Standard Version, I think it stands for. Yeah, that's a pretty light, isn't it? Okay, we're going to try this. Chapter 5 starts out with Jesus heals a man with a demon. And I had to look up some of these words and places, how to pronounce them. So 5 verse 1, we start. They came to the other side of the sea, to the country of the Gerasenes. And when Jesus had stepped out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. He lived among the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with chains, for he had often been bound with shackles and chains. But he wrenched the chains apart, and he broke the shackles in pieces. No one had the strength to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and on the mountains, he was always crying out and cutting himself with stones. And when he saw Jesus from afar, he ran and fell down before him, and crying out with a loud voice, he said, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I adjure you, by God, do not torment me." For he was saying to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." And Jesus asked about him, "What is your name?" He replied, "My name is Legion, for we are many." He begged him earnestly not to send them out of the country. Now a great herd of pigs was feeding there on the hillside, and they begged him, saying, "Send us to the pigs, let us enter them." So he gave them permission, and the unclean spirits came out and entered the pigs, and the herd, numbering about 2,000, rushed down the steep bank into the sea and drowned in the sea. The herdsmen fled and told it in the city and in the country, and people came to see what it was that had happened. And they came to Jesus and saw the demon-possessed man, the one who had the legion, sitting there clothed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. And those who had seen it described to them what had happened to the demon-possessed man into the pigs. And they began to beg Jesus to depart their region. As he was getting into the boat, the man who had been possessed with demons begged him that he might be with him. And he did not permit him, but said to him, "Go home to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you, and how he has had mercy on you." And he went away and began to proclaim in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him. And everyone marveled, Kiki. Everyone marveled. And you're marveling. You're sitting so close to all the words. And it's a little difficult, but that's okay. We'll read on. Okay, next, starting with verse 21, Jesus heals a woman and Jairus' daughter. And when Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a great crowd gathered around him, and he was beside the sea. Then came one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name, and seeing him, he fell at his feet and implored him earnestly, saying, "My little daughter is at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her so that she may be made well and live." You're not making this easy, Kiki. And he went out with him, and a great crowd followed him and thronged about him. Can't do that, Kiki baby. Can't see and the people can't hear. So there was a great throng of people following him, and there was a woman who had a discharge of blood for 12 years and who had suffered much under many physicians and had spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse. And she had heard the reports about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his garment. For she said, "If I touch even his garments, I will be made well." And immediately the flow of blood dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. And Jesus perceived in himself that power had gone out from him, immediately turned about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my garments?" And his disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing around you, and yet you say, 'Who touched me?'" And he looked around to see who had done it. But the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease." While he was still speaking, there came from the ruler's house some who said, "Your daughter is dead. Why trouble this teacher any further?" But overhearing what they said, Jesus said to the ruler of the synagogue, "Do not fear, only believe." And he allowed no one to follow him in except Peter and James and John, the brother of James. They came to the house of the ruler of the synagogue, and Jesus saw a commotion, people weeping and wailing loudly. And when he had entered, he said to them, "Why are you making a commotion and weeping? The child is not dead, but sleeping." And they laughed at him. But he put them all outside and took the child's father and mother and those who were with him and went in where the child was. Taking her by the hand, he said to her, "Talitha cumi," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, arise." And immediately the girl got up and began walking, for she was 12 years of age, and they were immediately overcome with amazement. And he strictly charged them that no one should know this, and told them to give her something to eat. Now that is the end of chapter 5. Mark, we have to go through this and see if anything is salvageable with her licking the microphone and all that stuff. But this chapter is pretty straightforward. In chapter 4, we had 4 parables to kind of chew on. And after rereading it and watching some videos of some preachers, I did grasp it. So if you're having trouble, it's so understandable. It's very simple, but then it's like a little riddle. And what did he mean by that? So yeah, I am not a scholar or a prophet or anything like that. I'm just an older lady trying to understand the Bible and a lover of Jesus. And I have a cat who likes to interfere. But that's okay. So thank you so much for listening. And as always, this is Lori Tries Life with Missy Ministries, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. It's okay. What's wrong? What you looking at, huh? Yeah, good girl. Good girl. You ready for the end? Okay, good girl. Let's see. Okay. I'm curious or something, I don't know. And okay.